about. And, we're there, so we've seen it. So why not share our stories with people? And, people want to know and want to hear. So we're here to tell it.
And Casey and I have that connective tissue with so many people, from his old partner Cliff Anderson getting me my start to somebody that was influential in both of our careers, in Blackjack Mulligan, and all the people that Terry was close with, like Kevin Sullivan. I had a great relationship with Kevin. There's connective tissue with all of us, and the Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation. Well, Casey and I are like 1 degree of separation, plus all of the projects and all the things that we've done together over the years when Casey was running his own shows. So being able to tell stories with your friend always kind of helps. And especially if I know the story as well, because if there's any details that, Casey got power bombed and may have slipped out of his brain, I can be there to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I kind of slide off, and he keeps the flow of the show going. We try to keep it 30 minutes. That way they can watch it on the way to work, or just a few minutes, and they get a couple good stories and this and that. And he keeps the flow going. He keeps me on track.
Any longer, and I need a nap. So there you go.
Yeah, and I've held you guys here for a while, but I got to ask one more question to you, Kevin. You mentioned that you were inadvertently responsible for the breakup of China and Triple H, and the jump from Triple H to Stephanie. I know you're probably going to end up back at the WWE one day, so you don't want to give too much details on this, but what was the backstage environment like during all that? Because I hear that just broke China.
Hunter really owes you.
I know. I feel terrible. I really seriously do. And when I've told other guys in the business this story, they're like, "You bastard." I'm like, I know, because a lot of people look to the kind of when Triple H and Stephanie were running things as like, a really rough time. Things are much better now, and obviously it's a it's a whole different environment, and everything did work out between Triple H and Stephanie, and I guess they were meant to be together, and they've been married for all these years and have kids together. But it was the simple thing of my wife and I both being soap opera fans. And we're talking one night about the thing with the upcoming wedding with Stephanie and Test. And I was like, this is soap opera. Something's got to happen. And so my wife throws out, she's like, "Isn't Triple H involved?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, what if Triple H somehow, swerved everybody and wound up marrying Stephanie?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that would be like classic soap opera. How do you get there?" And then I kind of like framed it out. And at the time, open submission, there wasn't a writing team. There were writers. There were people in, that were helping to put the shows together. But if you had an idea, you could submit it. So I go into the office and I write this, pretty lengthy email. Here's an idea that I have. And it was it's one of those things. And the first response I get was from Vince, and in all caps, all it said was, because I emailed everybody, Vince, JR, Kevin Dunn, Shane, blah, 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 this one, that one. And all Vince said was, "That's great shit," in all caps. And then Shane, who was in charge of .com at the time, he's on the same floor of the office that I am. He runs down, he leans into my office and, "Dude, that idea is crazy. I love it." And they wound up taking their own direction with it. But I had no idea that it was going to affect the real life relationship between China and Triple H. Obviously, when you put something out there like that, you think of these people as characters on a TV show, and you don't take into account what could be a real life human impact by it. So I did feel, kind of bad when all that, came about. It certainly wasn't the intent, but you forget, hey, listen, Triple H is Triple H, whether he's in the ring or he's, going and getting coffee, and China's China, even though her name was Joni Lauer, and they had a real life relationship as Joni and Paul, but it's just one of those things that happens. But yeah, Steve Corino was always one to point that out too, by the way. I do want that fact known, that he was part of that guilt trip. You did it. Yeah, I don't know. I did it.
Changed the course of wrestling.
It did.
There you go.
It did. And that's kind of one of our things with Casey, because, both of us have been there for so many big events. It's like the Forrest Gump theory. You know what I mean? Like, we were there and we weren't necessarily directly involved, like on camera, but we were directly behind the camera. We saw everything.
Yeah.
And we know the facts and the details and the dates and the names. So yeah, it's like Casey was there, for Hogan's turn. Casey was there for all those nitros in Florida, and I was there at the beginning of the NWO, and but on the other side, and I'm like going, hey guys, this is really bad. They're putting something together here, and WWF is going down and WCW is going up, and everything wound up changing. But what a perspective that we both had. So we're able to share those stories on the podcast each and every week.
Yeah, I was really close friends with Kevin Sullivan the whole time. I knew him since I was 15 years old. So, I mean, I have millions of stories from him and Blackjack. And talk about ribs. He said the best ribber in the business was Harley Race. I was talking to Harley one time. He's like, don't believe what Jack says. They're much worse.
They're much worse. That's just it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Harley
where
would shoot
are you
everyone
guys living
with their
now, by the way? Do you guys both
down
live
in
the
Florida?
Casey's where it's warm, and I'm much closer to you. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm way up north in the freezing cold.
Do you have the drones where you are?
That's to the east in New Jersey. I'm
Okay.
Thankfully I'm drone free here in PA.
All right. I hope it stays that way. I'll let you guys close this off with whatever you want to tell the fans.
I'm thankful to have Casey Thompson in my life. He's a wonderful guy, and being able to tell his story through his journey, as kind of the backdrop of all the names and everything that we're, kind of basing the show on. I'm just fascinated learning more and more about Casey. He's a great, great father, a great guy, and it's just been wonderful to be able to bring his story out as well.